Hey there, before we get started, it's back to school time and it's the back to school sale for our membership group. You guys, free podcasts, free webinars, blogs, the newsletter that we share at Social School for EDU, they're all super valuable. But the place where I hang out the most with weekly trainings, daily inspiration, and answering questions is in our membership group. It's a paid Facebook group where we just hang out and really take social media to the next level. You can try it out right now for 6 months for only $395, but you got to sign up by August 31st. You guys, this sale doesn't come around very often. And if you want to try it out and say, hey, is this worth it? I think you're definitely going to say it is. Actually, just last week, we had a Canva camp and really went into some Canva details and specific things for schools. And you guys, all of our trainings are recorded. So even if you can't join live, like you weren't in it last week, you can get access as soon as you join. So check out socialschoolforedu.com. Click join now. You will not be charged right away. We'll actually send you an invoice. We can't wait to welcome you in to that group. Now let's get to this week's guest, Tyler Heberle. Tyler is out of Lincoln Unified School District in California. He's doing amazing things, leading his school district of 12 schools and just over 8,000 students. Today, Tyler's going to share how he approaches social media, what stories he really focuses on telling, and how he gets content from staff. He's also going to break down the science of, hey, sharing a video that went viral, which is super cool. Really gives some insights into, hey, video doesn't have to be perfectly done, right? And definitely sharing things as Instagram Reels or Facebook Reels can be really, really helpful. He's also going to talk through how he conducted an interview and a feature over with a teacher that celebrated 36 years in the school district, and it ended up, without any work from him, ended up leading to some media coverage. So I think that's great. You're going to grab a lot of helpful tips and tricks from Tyler today. So let's get to it. But first, our K-12 PR tip. Today's K-12 PR tip is about setting up Facebook pages in groups. We recently had this question come up in our membership group where they said they were looking for guidelines on how to set up social media subgroups. So if our PTO wants a Facebook page that's connected to our official school page, that can't be done, just so you know. Unfortunately, you can't create subgroups or associated groups within Facebook. I really recommend setting up a social media directory that has official Facebook or Instagram or other social media pages that are associated with your school. I would really recommend having that set up. But if you want to share things from one page to another, unfortunately, those people, they just have to watch. You can't set that up automatically. So I hope that tip helps. If you're getting those questions asked, maybe that will help answer it for you. Now let's get into this week's interview with Tyler Heberle. Welcome to the podcast, Tyler. How are you?
I'm doing well, Andrea. How are you this morning?
I'm really good. We've met a couple times in person. And at CalSPRA, I think last year, we said, hey, we got to get you on the podcast. So really excited to welcome Tyler Heberle. He's from Lincoln Unified School District, and that is in California, not Nebraska. And so, Tyler, I'd love for you to share your background and tell us a little bit about your role there at Lincoln Unified.
So I have now been with Lincoln Unified for about 3 years. This is
Okay.
my third full school year with the district. Before I got into school PR, I was in TV news as a producer at CBS 13 and Fox 40, two stations in Sacramento. I did that from about 2018 to 2021, and then I met with my current superintendent at Lincoln Unified, and she really liked some of the things I was doing in terms of, multimedia, and it kind of was a very smooth transition into my current job where I'm the media communication specialist for Lincoln Unified, so I run social media for our 12 schools as well as our district office. I also handle parent outreach on Parent Square. That's the website we use for that. to keep parents updated in terms of enrollment, any kind of deadlines, upcoming events they might need to know. I also do some web management. We have a webmaster who handles more of the coding side of things, but I help in terms of content creation there. So,
Okay. So tell me a little bit. You said you have 12 schools. About how many students do you have in the whole district?
just over 8,000, between 8
Okay.
and 9,000. Mostly our high school, Lincoln High School, is kind of our claim to fame, I would say. But we have so many sensational programs at the elementaries. We have a continuation high school, a charter school, a middle school. So.
Okay. And then what does your communication team look like? Is it just you? Do you have you and a director?
So I am a one-stop shop in terms of
Okay.
communication for the district, although I am very well supported by my superintendent and my assistant to the superintendent. I always check in with them in terms of the types of stories we want to share with families in the community. They've both been incredibly supportive from the get-go, which is awesome. I feel very much like I have creative freedom and trust and like a mutual sense of understanding with my higher ups in terms of what kind of stuff we want to share with the district. But in
Okay.
terms of who's posting on the social media platforms, it's pretty much just me.
Okay. And then you said you have a webmaster, and I'm assuming are they like in a technology department type
Our webmaster, yes, would be part of the IT department
IT?
in
Okay.
our
All right.
district.
But you kind of have a little bit of dotted line, but you're the one that's helping push the content that goes on the website. And I'm sure has your school been with Parent Square for a long time?
For at least several years now. And that's
Okay.
one thing that's been kind of rock solid throughout. Our parents are largely very much engaged with Parent Square. We always can see that we're notifying lots of parents whenever we send something out about our job fairs, enrollment deadlines, anything like that. So that it accompanies our social media very well.
Yeah, and I was just talking with somebody yesterday in a book study that I did, a book club that I did this year, and some of her leadership was just like, "We have Parent Square, so we don't need social media." It's like, yes, you do need social media. Like, we need to reach beyond just the parents, and they are important, and of course, Parent Square, and then there's a lot of other tools out there that schools can use. But tell me a little bit specifically about the social media channels and how you use social media in the district. You said you've got 12 schools and the district presence. What channels are you on, and how do you get content, things like that?
So we're predominantly on Facebook and Instagram. We have pages for all 12 of the schools, the district. We also have Facebook and Instagram for our public safety department. We do have X or Twitter accounts. Facebook and Instagram, I would say, get the most content by far, but Twitter, X is there as a backup. And so I essentially use social media platforms. I mean, we will update parents in regards to upcoming events, but also a big part of our content on the social media pages is giving parents a chance to see what kids are doing at our schools. I'm always looking for things that are happening during the school day, classroom exercises or activities that are visual and team-based. That's always something I want to cover whenever we can on social media. So a big part of my job is to communicate with teachers and with principals. Always check Parent Square to make sure I know what's going on so that I, in turn, can let parents know what's going on. And then in addition to that, I always like using social media platforms to introduce parents to any new staff we might have. Profiles are huge, I would say, with our parents. They always like reading about teachers or administrators who have been around with the district for a long time. We might get into it a little bit more later, but we recently did a profile on our former choir director for the high school. That was one of the most successful pieces we've ever done. So just, I think social media really is a way for us to kind of personalize our schools, to show the faces of our district, the kids, the teachers. And it's a lot of fun to do that. And I think parents really love seeing that stuff.
Yeah. So tell me about how you get your content. So are you the only one? You said all of your schools have Facebook and Instagram. So are you the only one posting on their Facebook and Instagram pages for each school?
With a few exceptions, we have a few schools where there are staff members who will help me do
Okay.
posts here and there. Generally speaking, I'm the one who has final say on social media, but I'm always making sure to be in contact with teachers so that I can make sure I'm properly representing their class, their school. That's kind of one of the biggest parts of my job is just the networking, the communication.
Right.
And so I make a conscious effort to have a circle of teachers and admins and counselors at every campus. And some schools, I got an earlier start on establishing a network than others, but I would say overall I've done a pretty good job having that network at each school because that's always my goal is to make sure that we don't show favoritism in terms of which schools are getting a certain amount of content, but just to show that every school in our district has something to offer.
Right. So are those staff members and that network that you've got at the schools, are they feeding you content, like emailing you that content so that then you can put that out on social media?
Yes, we do have several teachers who are good at sending me pictures. They'll just text me, things that happened in their classroom on a given day, which is great. That makes my job easier because, I can only be in so many places at once. The only thing I have to do sometimes on my end is obviously to check Aries, our student database, to make sure that all the students in a given photo are clear for social media, which can be time consuming, but we want to make sure that all of our parents and kids feel comfortable with what we're doing. But once that's said and done, yeah, the principals and the teachers often do a great job at giving me some material and meeting me halfway, which I love. I love that over the years we've gotten our staff to be very proactive and really to enjoy doing the social media stuff with me.
Yeah. And do you share some of the content on both that school specific page and do you include some of that then on your district page? Or is it all totally different? How does that work?
Yes, like I said, I make an effort to have different material on every school's pages, but the district pages, I will often share like the best stories, the ones that really stand out, which just, comes down to personal um, judgment and checking with my superintendent in terms of what do we really want to promote. Just to give you a couple examples, back in the spring, we had Stevie Van Zandt, who plays for Bruce Springsteen's band. His Teach Rock program came to California for the first time. He worked with our kids at John McCandless, that's our charter school, and we obviously posted pictures of him with the students on the John McCandless Facebook and Instagram pages, but my superintendent and I, thought that was such an awesome opportunity for the kids, and we wanted to make sure that as many folks as possible saw it. So like that stuff was also posted to the district page. Also, some of our profiles, like our recently retired choir director at the high school, that was also published to both the high school and district pages. So it's kind of a case by case basis, I would
Okay.
say.
Okay. So you had a video go viral in the last year. So why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
That was a pretty exciting experience. One thing I love about Lincoln Unified is that we're very much a music centered district. Our music programs, we've been recognized by the mayor of Stockton for them in the past. And every year we do the Lincoln Band Review, where marching bands from throughout California come to Lincoln High School in Stockton. They have various performances throughout the day. But at the beginning of that day, our own Lincoln High marching band walks through the neighborhood and they play songs. And so I just recorded some video of our marching band performing Zacatecas is the song. And the video shows them marching toward the camera, playing the music, doing a great job. And I just posted that expecting, some some congrats and some, good job comments from our parents, but that exploded. We got to about 1,600 likes. I'm going to double check the numbers for you right here. But yeah, we got 16,000 likes on Instagram, 4,500 on Facebook. This was back in November, and that was just not overnight, but that just gradually accumulated over time. And that was just so cool to see. I admittedly, was not used to seeing so many comments from seemingly all around the world. I would
Right.
assume mostly local, but that was just so cool. I mean, like I said, our music programs are great, so it was good to see them get the recognition they deserve. And in fact, later in the school year, our drum major, who was also featured in that video, he did a brief demonstration at our board of trustees meeting. The video shows him twirling his baton, and that also got quite a bit of traction on our high school Instagram page. So
Huh.
that was just a really exciting experience to, get beyond our typical demographic, our typical location. But I just thought it was such a exciting opportunity to see our music program recognized like that on a broad scale.
We'll link the video. Was that a vertical that you shared as a reel on both Instagram and Facebook?
That was a reel,
Okay.
correct?
Um, and it's just a reminder, Tyler, for everybody, like you never know what's going to strike a chord. And the video you shared was very authentic. It wasn't anything like, hey, I'm here with the band and we're kicking off today. It was just a video of them like marching through the streets. And I kind of thought like you did, like, really? This went like viral, but you just never know when it's going to hit that
Yeah.
chord and people are going to relate to it. And I just think it's like, I don't know, just typical homegrown USA, like Main Street music. And I think in this day, today's day and age, like the world just needs more of that, don't you think?
Oh, I absolutely think so. I mean, it's just in that video, I let, the music do the talking. I let the students do the talking. That wasn't really a video defined by, fancy editing or anything like that. People really responded to it, which, just I think goes to show just how talented our kids are, which was just so cool. That's the sort of thing that makes my job a lot of fun is to, just the success of our students gets to be the story. I love that.
Right. Yeah. Okay, you referred to it a couple times so far, but you celebrated the retirement of a teacher who had worked in the district for 36 years. So I'm going to post in the show notes what the post was, but it's a little bit longer of a description. And so I want you to tell me a little bit about how you gathered the information for that post.
So Paul Kimball was the choir director at Lincoln High School. He had also done some music instruction at our elementary schools in the past. Really beloved figure in the community, also involved in like music in Stockton beyond the school district, and had been in charge of the choir program at Lincoln High for a couple decades at that point. And, he just retired this past spring. And I always want to honor retiring staff members. I think that's one of our most generally liked and engaged with forms of content. But so I met with Paul in his office. We just talked for about an hour about, his history with music, with our district, some of his favorite things about teaching. I'm taking notes on my iPhone as he's talking to me. I just took a picture of him sitting at his piano, and then I wrote an article when I got back into my office. I sent it to him. He said it looked good, and then I posted it on our high school and district Facebook and Instagram pages. And this is why profiles are one of my favorite things to post, is you get so many comments of people who they're sharing their memories of these teachers. Like we had several dozen people on the Facebook page, at least, remembering when they had Paul as their teacher or when their kids did. And just it gets a good conversation going. Like profiles are a great way to set a positive tone, I would say, on social media. And it garnered traction over time. And before long, we had some local media requests of news outlets wanting to also interview Paul. We had a photojournalist from CBS 13 in Sacramento. She came in and recorded some video of the rehearsal for his last concert at the high school. The piece turned out wonderful. I'd highly recommend watching it. And then also about a couple weeks later, we got a request from the education reporter at the Stockton Record, our local newspaper. They also wrote a lovely piece about Paul, and that was kind of a prime example of the sort of thing that school social media can do. It can get you attention beyond just your parents and your kids. I mean, obviously, it's good engagement with your families in the district, but then folks like local media can see you, they can reach out, and it really can help to make your district a bigger presence in the greater community.
Yeah. Did you reach out to them, or they strictly just saw the chatter and they saw the social media content and then ended up contacting the school?
So usually I try to reach out to media outlets when I think we're going to have a really good story. But this case, they took the first step, and I was just so pleasantly surprised. Fantastic news. I thought the pieces both turned out excellent. And I think that was just a case of Paul Kimball's work kind of speaking for itself. You know, we as a district are so lucky to have had some amazing, influential people like him working in the district. And I think that's the power of social media profiles is getting to make our district about the people.
Yeah. So you said you took notes on your iPhone. Does that mean did you record your like whole interview so that you could not miss a detail, or did you just handwrite your notes?
Maybe this is just the former print journalist in me talking, but I do tend to hand print all of my notes.
Okay.
I always check in with the people I interview just to make sure everything is correct. I just want to make sure that they and I are both on the same page, that I don't blindside anyone I talk to. But yeah, that tends to be the way to go. In the past, have also done some video interviews, which I'm kind of in the process of changing up my approach to video on Instagram. I'm trying to go for shorter and sweeter
Mhm.
when I can. Right now, I'm in the process of recording some back to school messages from our principals and assistant principals. That's kind of a new form of content I'm working on. So we'll see how those go. I think they'll turn out to be pretty well liked, but we'll see.
Yeah. Well, we're going to link all of your district channels on the show notes so people can check out. And as we get into this school year, and if they want to check back, they certainly can. Um, when it comes to social media, Tyler, what's your biggest struggle?
Well, I think I've alluded to already that striking a balance between all the schools can be a challenge. When I started this job in November 2021. Um, we were just starting our first semester of in-person learning since the COVID-19 pandemic. And so there was obviously a desire for communication, for parents wanting to know, okay, what's going on? How are things going in the classrooms? And so our district had Facebook and Instagram. Our high school did. Many of the elementary schools didn't have any kind of social media presence. And that was one of the first things I did was to create Instagram pages and Facebook pages for the schools that did not have them. And so obviously, because those schools have had a social media presence for less time, they've been a bit harder to get engagement with. But that's part of my job is to get them up there, get the numbers up there. And so for some of the elementaries, I really have had to think outside the box in terms of finding stuff in classrooms, because with the high school, big population, lots of clubs, lots of extracurricular activities, the high school could be a job in and of itself.
Mhm.
And I love that about it. But, I have to really be proactive to let parents know, hey, there's cool stuff going on at all of our schools. And so that's just where I have to be a communicator and communicate with teachers at each and every campus, which it can be challenging to multitask, but I think I've gotten better and better at it with every year. And I'm now in a really good spot where I have some really supportive, awesome staff at every school.
How often are you trying to post on those Facebook and Instagram pages for the schools?
The schools, I would say, in a perfect world, we get one or two posts a week. Realistically speaking, it's at least three or four school posts per month. I don't necessarily schedule in terms of week to week. I schedule in terms of what are the events going on, you
Mhm.
know?
Okay.
And so there are times during the year where we get more content than others. I would say in particular, May, as we approach graduation season and eighth grade promotions, there's lots of stuff going on. There's end of year award ceremonies and rallies and things like that. Um, and then my job becomes getting those numbers up in the slower months too.
Right.
Obviously December after winter break, you can get a bit of a dry spell
Mhm.
between the holiday season and like mid-January.
Right.
But I'm always on the lookout for ways to fill those gaps, which is kind of the fun of my job, is to kind of challenge myself that way.
Yeah. And I totally respect your approach, Tyler. I will just say, working with schools, you're tackling a lot, especially that you handle all of that. So I know, I really recommend having that real strong district presence and only wanting to start up those individual Facebook and Instagram pages if you're really going to have that consistent, I mean, almost once a day post, which maybe is in your dream plans in the future. I just want everybody to know, as you're listening to this, being like, oh my gosh, I got to start pages for all my schools. No, you don't necessarily have to. There's different ways to look at it, but it can be challenging to be able to get content for all of those things. And so usually we say, hey, celebrate all of your schools on that district page. If you're able to get some consistent posting, it's great to have those other channels, but it's just something to think about. So again, Tyler, not saying your approach is wrong at all, but you took on a lot. Like that is it
Mhm.
is a little bit challenging to be able to get all those stories. And so there's more ways than one to tackle it. So
And Andrea, if I could just quickly add to what you said there, I do think one thing that is cool about my job is we're a bit of a smaller district. We've got 12 schools. I have many colleagues in my region where they've got, several dozen schools, like 50
yeah,
plus. And obviously, one person can't get the same amount of content to 50 social media pages that they can to just 12.
right.
And so I would, say to anyone else who's doing school social media, um, quality over quantity is totally valid as an approach.
Mhm.
Do what you can do, talk to the teachers you can talk to, and when you post, just make it count, get some great photos, get some really nice stories the parents are going to love to see. I don't know that, folks at home are going to be keeping tally of how many posts you've done a week. Just make them count, make them good, which I would say more often than not, we've been able to do. So yeah.
Yeah, awesome. So what would kind of rounding this out, what would be your best social media tip?
My best social media tip really is just remember you are a communications specialist. Like that's part of the social media job. So make friends with your teachers, your counselors, coaches, administrators, office staff. Office staff can be a big help because they can help you update your own personal calendar and keep a calendar. Keep whether it's on Outlook or whether you want to handwrite in a calendar or a planner or something. I have definitely had moments where I have been weeks in advance ready to go to something and then just it slips my mind the day of. It happens. We're human. But just document as much as you can just so that you can always just look somewhere and be reminded, oh yeah, this is what's going on today. Because if you want to get good coverage on all of your schools, you have to be organized in that way. And so there are people out there who can help you. So I would just make sure to um, make friends at every school and just let people help you do a great job.
Yeah, build your army of storytellers, right? Tyler, what's the best way to stay connected to you if people want to learn a little bit more about your efforts and your approach?
So I encourage everyone to follow Lincoln Unified on all of our social media platforms. Instagram, I think, is a good one to follow. Just Lincoln Unified School District, one word, where our logo is a gray L with kind of a silver and black like striped pattern behind it. Facebook as well. For those of you who use Threads, we're on there too. X for LUSD tweets. We try to have, like I said, a couple posts a week. So follow us. And, if you have any questions for me, I try to respond to instant messages on all of those platforms. So I would love to talk with you.
Okay, awesome. And is it okay to include your email address in the show notes as well?
Absolutely. Anyone
Okay.
who has questions, you can email me at theberle, that's Theberle at lusd.net.
Awesome. Well, you got to get going because you're welcoming staff back pretty soon, and I'm just so excited that you took time to share with me and the listeners. I wish you just the best year. And everybody listening, thanks so much. Have an incredible 2024-25 school year, and we'll see you back here next week with another fantastic guest. We'll see you later.